Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game, the podcast where I, your host, Connor McCabe, bring on a guest to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. This is a podcast about what makes video games special to different people. A little bit of housekeeping up top is that anything that my guest or I plug today, whether we want you to know about a video game that someone's working on, or to find a Patreon where you can find more bonus video game podcasts from myself and the makers of this show, those are going to be in a beautiful link in the show notes. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast catcher, scroll down in the episode notes. There's going to be some nice organized links for you there, and that's really all I have to say about that. I'll finally introduce my guest for today's episode, so please welcome game designer and world traveler Jacques Mouledoux. Jacques, welcome back to the pod.
I'm so happy to be here, Connor. Thank you for having me again.
You are so welcome. This has become more of a regular thing on the show where every so often I've been, the truth is I'm running out of people to get on the show. Like my pool of people is shrinking, and that is also coincided with a beautiful just desire, a lust for me to have former guests on the show to come back for second solo episodes. And buddy, you're a veteran of the pod. You're back.
I just want to say that, you could have framed that as being I've been wanting you back for so long personally, and it's so exciting that you're finally here. But instead you were like, I'm running out of people. I'm desperate. I'll take anyone.
Jacques,
I guess I'm glad you're here.
Well, I should be clear. What I meant to say was I have no other option. I had to have you on the show. Otherwise, the thing may just collapse in on itself.
Yeah, cool. Gotcha.
But hey, even though I'm just so desperate, I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you.
It's one of the things I really enjoy about having people back on the podcast is that, especially someone like you who was first on, this was episode 10, where you came on to discuss Super Mario 64 back in, I want to say it was about January 2020. We had known each other for maybe a year and a half at that point, and now this is 5.5 years later, so we've had almost the entirety of our friendship since then.
Yeah. I feel like we were friends of friends then, and now have crossed that barrier and are just actual friends now.
Yes. That was, even having you on that episode was probably the first time that we ever had any sort of one-on-one moment or opportunity, and now we have, our own friendship. It was
so awkward. That first episode was so awkward. We didn't have anything to talk about. We didn't know what to say. It was very first date. I was like, do you have siblings?
You could just feel us just yearning for an ease, for a flow. Yes. And just who knows if we ever found it.
We'll find out today.
We really will. I introduced you as a game designer and world traveler. One of the big things between the two of us is that we've actually been working on a video game together for the last year and a half or so, called Send in the Clown, which, you've acted as essentially our lead designer, the narrative lead, one of the head honchos, with Nick. You're an amazing game designer, but that's been one way outside of our normal. We've actually done so much together. I'm even thinking about the talk show now. We've done a lot of collaboration in the last couple of years, but the Send in the Clown is probably the thing that's most top of mind currently.
Well, we co-created together with our friend Nick.
This is
true. You and I have written it together, basically, with our other friends. But it's so it's been really fun to I feel like I not only have spent a ton of time with you, so I know you as a person, but I also know how that mind of yours works. And I feel like you probably feel similarly, where it's I feel I kind of I even think of bits and I'm like, that's a Connor bit.
Yes.
I have in a good way where
totally.
Yeah.
When you do spend so much time pitching jokes or sitting on a Zoom and sort of each of us kind of stroking our chin, hoping to come up with something miraculously before we call it a day, you do start to understand whether it's tendencies or strengths of someone. That has been a really fun part of collaborating on this game, which we've talked about it. It's come up a little on the show, but this is the most we've probably ever discussed it. Hey, you adjust this pitch for me. It's an hour-long comedy RPG called Send in the Clown, where you're going to be playing. It's unreleased, obviously, but you're going to be playing as Pockets the Clown, who is sent in last minute to save a 12-year-old girl's birthday party. How was that pitch, Jacques? What'd you think?
Dude, that was so good. We'll take notes later and put that on the website.
Phew. But yeah, I mean, I'm bringing that up just to also say, to sort of lead you into an opportunity to, if you want to talk about that, you can, or talk about, some new ventures for you since the last time you were on the show, or any updates you feel like giving the listener.
Let's see. I mean, what I've been up to. I was really fortunate that later that year, after that podcast, I got a job as an assistant on the iCarly reboot. And so I worked on that for a few seasons. Really fortunate. Wrote a couple episodes.
Yeah.
That was such a good creative experience. And then during the writer strike, I taught myself programming because I was like, I've always wanted to make video games. And then did that. And then Connor also was working on writing for video games. And we kind of like teamed up, and then met Nick, who's our other main collaborator on Send in the Clown. And yeah, so my life's kind of gone in this video game creating direction, which has been wonderful. I love it so much.
It really comes across in your care and your dedication, at least to just the game we've been working on together. It's very easy to see. It's something that feels like and I say this in a good way, a full-time job of care for you. And you can see your passion and how not just like your passion and enthusiasm, but your strength as a games designer. It feels like, if you could continue to just have this opportunity to make games, whether it's independently or as like for a career, it's something that I feel like you're just set up so well to do. And I'm really excited for people to see this game, to see that the proof that is in the proverbial pudding.
Absolutely. Well, that's really nice. It's gonna be really funny, all this talking about it, and then the game comes out, 4 people play it, they all ask for returns on Steam.
Yes, we're actually in the red.
No, but it's but it's been super awesome, and right back at you. It's been a really fun collab, and I think people will like the game. I'm excited.
Me too.
To share it with people.
Yeah, I keep getting more and more eager and excited for additional people to see it. But Jacques, outside of the game or anything really that you feel like sharing, did you get to talk about yourself enough? Is there any other updates you want to give the listener?
Did I get to talk about myself enough is like not a question anyone's ever asked me. They're like, please less. Oh my God, share less. No, I'm good. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, cool. I was talking earlier about how you've been on, at least your first episode was over 5.5 years ago, episode 10, where we discussed Super Mario 64. Famously, too, you had recalled before we started recording that was back when we did a video companion for every episode that wasn't just a video version of the podcast, but where I would get together with the guest right before we did the podcast and play the game to sort of jog their memory for about a half hour. And this was easily the most disastrous one we ever did, because was it that the recording kept failing of our gameplay or something like that?
One of the video elements messed up, so we kept having to redo it.
Yes. I think we did it 3 times.
It wasn't even that bad, because literally we were just like playing Super Mario 64 together, so it's like, oh no, not another 30 minutes of this.
Yes.
But it was crazy. And then by the 3rd time, I just remember being like, not that I get nervous too bad or anything, but I remember just being like feeling pressured. I hadn't done many podcasts.
Yes.
But then once it's failed twice, you have no expectations that the 3rd time's going to work. And I remember just being like, I don't care anymore.
Yep.
It was a good way to get any sort of like podcast recording jitters out that I had 5.5 years ago.
Yeah. I remember too, I'm pretty sure we were just doing the Rainbow Ride level, which is one of the hardest and most frustrating ones. So yeah, we were repeating the same exercise in one of the most brutal levels of that game.
I remember you getting one of the stars and like feeling such joy, because we kept handing the controller back and forth. So it really felt like a team effort, even as I'm watching you play it.
Yeah.
But I remember just like you getting a star and just being like, yeah.
Well, just hold that moment in your heart anytime, because I love to be remembered fondly as someone succeeding. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Well, Jacques, I could also go through all the co-op episodes you've been on. You've been on many. You're actually about to be on the most recent one. That's by the time this episode comes out, that episode either will be out on Patreon or will be actually, I think it'll still be getting queued up to release, and that is a co-op episode about Balatro, continuing our indie series that Courtney's actually going to be hosting for us.
Yeah, I got that email and I was like, does Courtney have a podcast that I don't know about? And then it was like, okay, cool, co-op.
Yes. So I was like, that's a game I want someone to cover, and she was super down. So anyway, look forward to that. Patrons, before we get into your more recent history with video games, will you please tee up what we're going to discuss in the main event later and call me by your game?
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about Wave Race 64, the N64 classic where you ride jet skis and races. It's a game that I remember fondly playing when it came out, but then more specifically, my main memory is a few years later, kind of tied to some personal events that happened that I'm excited to share.
Ooh, I love it. Now that's a tease, baby. Way to tee that up. As far as your recent history in gaming, I would love to know, since you were last on the main event, have you seen any significant trends in how you game or the styles of games that you've been drawn to?
Absolutely. I'd say the big one is that my passion is for roguelikes, specifically like deck builders and tactics games. I've really leaned into I let my freak flag fly, and I feel like my interests have become more and more niche. I mean, I say that with like my favorite games being smash hits like Slay the Spire and Hollow Knight. But I love indie games. I love retro aesthetic. I love tactics games. I love strategy in general. So I think deck builders and tactics games go really well in that regard.
Yes.
And then I also love tons of other things like your Souls games and Baldur's Gate and Disco Elysium and good writing.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty.
I'd say those are my things.
It's a pretty nice variety of styles too, like deck builders. You've got your RPGs. You've got your Souls-like games. Can you think? And one, I think this was a deck builder, or at least a roguelike. You can correct me on this. One game that you were preaching about last year that I haven't heard enough. I haven't even gotten to hear enough people discuss, so I'd love to give you a chance to, if you feel like it, is Shogun Showdown was a game that you fell in love with.
I love it. Yeah, there's like a specific itch that some games just scratch for me, and that Shogun Showdown is it. It's a 2D like side scrolly effectively view game where you're it's almost like a tactics game made flat and like from a 2D perspective, where you play as a samurai and your deck, quote unquote, are moves. So you have a few moves that you can attack with, move around the space with. And the thing it does super well is, I hadn't seen a game do this, and it's really influenced me a lot, and like I just think about constantly, is it uses the shoulder buttons to move left and right.
Oh.
So you're literally moving while you're selecting actions with A. And you don't have to move quickly in the game. There's literally no motivation, but you can, and you feel like you're dancing on the space in this like ballet strategy way. It's so fun and addictive. I mean, I would say it fills the niche. It's kind of like a Slay the Spire, or it's kind of like a Into the Breach made flat, I would say, in terms of like similar structure, but a lot faster. It's really fun. I love that one. The new one I would also recommend is Starvaders.
Yes.
Which is like a grid-based, even more of a deck builder. Really fun. Horrid writing. Just like, it's a game that doesn't need any writing. They could hit delete on that entire element and the game would be the same / better.
Yeah.
It's giving like 23-year-old who's like trying to be dramatic, but like doesn't have experience to understand anything beyond themselves. I don't know. That's really critical. But it's like the gameplay is so fun though. It's like it's similar to Into the Breach, where you're constantly put in. It's almost a puzzle game, but you're constantly put into situations where you're like, well, this is impossible. There's no way for me to get out of this. And then you're like, but wait, if I do this and then this, that would set up this, which will then set up this, which will set up this. And so if you're a strategy person, it is very satisfying.
Oh, I bet. Like, it sounds like a game that can make you feel like you already said satisfying, but yeah, very smart for figuring out the seemingly impossible way to get through.
Or stupid. Or stupid for failing. And you're like, oh, why did I do that?
Yes.
I shouldn't have done that. But really fun. Just forget the world building, the aesthetic, the writing.
Yes.
If you delete all of that and just get it to its core gameplay, it's a total knockout.
Yes, that's awesome. That was one that I know that I had been hearing about earlier this year, and then you chimed in on our little Discord chat recently being like, how was I not already playing this? So
yeah, exactly. It's made for me.
I'm glad to hear that you're really enjoying it. As one question I wanted to ask you, and if this might feel like a little bit of a leading or sort of a loaded question based on a game that at least one game I know you've really enjoyed, but as a, generally new game designer, where have you found inspiration, and whether that be from a game or something not game related?
It's a good question.
Or just feeling inspired rather than like, oh, I found this specific inspiration from this.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's so many ways to answer it, but I'd say in a game sense, UFO 50 was by far the biggest, most inspiring one. It's one of those things where I'm just so jealous of being able to work with a team of people making small games. Like, there's literally nothing else I'd rather do in my life than make like quick retro games that have simple mechanics that are fun. Like, that actually sounds like the best thing you could ever do with your time. So that was super inspiring. But I'd say other than that, I just I'm such a culture vulture. I am just soaking up everything I can in terms of books, movies, plays. Yeah, I think theater is an underrated element that video game designers don't consider enough, or maybe they do. I don't talk to enough, but I'd say just theatrical elements of things entering, things exits, reveals, asides are all these tools that are not in vogue right now with the domination of movies in culture, where you don't really do asides, and it's not about entrances and exits. But I find that sort of stuff really inspiring. I also love farce as a format, like a classic. I'm just now talking about exiting and entering as if that's a brand new idea. But I love a Frasier episode where they have a secret. Two characters then go hide in the kitchen and are like, you have to pretend to be my butler. And then go back out and you just see these layers of problems escalate for characters who are lying for selfish motivations. Basically, long story short, I've been into Frasier recently, and that's been delighting me.
That's amazing. I can't believe we got there. That reboot hasn't aired yet, has it?
Oh, it's on season 2 or something, but I have not watched it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's amazing. I sort of felt like I was leading you to a UFO 50 because I knew that it was something that had been inspiring game design wise for you. And it's one that you and I both dipped in when it first came out on our PCs. But did you play that thing on Steam Deck, or is it just the computer?
Steam Deck, always. I
really wish it had been released earlier on Switch, and I could see myself double dipping on it. Because I don't know, there was something about that game that felt like a chore to go to my computer to play, even though I wanted to dip in.
It's wrong. It's wrong to play it on a computer. It's like when I played Celeste on PS5 instead of on Switch. You know what I mean? You're just kind of this is perverse and off.
Yes.
I agree. UFO 50 on Switch is a dream. It was incredible it is incredible on Steam Deck. I love it. It still is the gift that keeps giving, because I'll go back and be like, oh, I always meant to try this one again, and then it's good. Most of the games are good. Yeah. Some of them are not, but most of them are. I love.
Yes, definitely. There's something for everybody in there, I think. I also wanted to touch on, you were talking about being inspired by entrances and exits, but theater. And do you remember when we went to what was that indie showcase that we went, Day of the Devs in December 2023 and when we were checking out 1,000 Times Resist at that one booth?
I do remember that.
I remember we were talking to, I don't remember if the person was one of the developers or who was the booth attendant, but they were talking about how there was a team of former theater people who were working on that game. Oh. And I'd be so curious, because I didn't end up playing it, if either of us dipped in, if we could see that inspiration or if there would be, I don't know, something that you would gather from that.
That's so interesting. I completely forgot that. But that was such an interesting like backstory.
Yeah.
That wasn't like we're met in computer science program. Yeah, that's so interesting. I never went back and played that game, but it was striking.
Yes.
At the Day of the Devs event, and that's cool. Now I want to play it.
We'll have to circle back on your third solo episode in 5.5 more years and see what ties were there. Looking forward, Jacques, as we maybe start to wrap up this segment of the show, what have you been playing lately? I know that you were talking about Starvaders. Does anything else have your attention?
This is another leading question.
I realized as I was asking, I was like, what the hell? Why am I acting like I don't know the answer to this?
Yeah, Silk Song dropped yesterday. I played it for like 4 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
So I really got to dive in. It was awesome. It is awesome. It's more Hollow Knight, but there's some fun moves and stuff. At first, it just feels like more Hollow Knight, which is A-okay with me. But it's also like there's been a couple things that are like, oh, that's a fun mechanic, and she doesn't operate exactly as Hollow Knight did. So I'm loving it. I'm excited to dig in. I wish I didn't have friends visiting this weekend so I could focus more on Silk Song. But other than that, that's been the other big one.
I'm glad you got that 4-hour dive yesterday. That's great.
They can never take that away from me.
No, they can't, friends. It's so wild to me that this game has been so highly anticipated for years, and that it was announced 2 weeks ago and then just dropped at the time of recording yesterday, September 4th. I can't wait to play it myself.
Yes, it's awesome. You're going to love it. I will say that interview with them where they described why it took so long is one of my favorite interviews I've ever read in my whole life.
Yeah, the one with Jason Schreier?
Yes. Where they were like, what caused the delay? They were like, oh, we actually never had any creative issues whatsoever. We just kept coming up with ideas that we liked and wanted to put in the game, so it took longer.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Like, what a dream. Like, they clearly made Hollow Knight, made more money than they can spend for the rest of their lives, and are just like, cool, we're going to just take our time having fun making the game the way we want, and then to release it for $20 when they could clearly charge $30 plus. They're just like, I love them. They are the model. They are the best. I just couldn't be happier for them. And they're just like, they're the life I want to have.
Yeah.
And they also are like making great stuff that I would make. So it's just, they're the best.
Yeah, it's so cool. Congrats to Team Cherry on getting that game out there. And I can't wait to dive in myself. I mean, I guess this is an okay time to talk about it before I ask you one final question. I should have promoted this earlier. When this episode comes out, Jacques, as you're already aware, there's an election that is going to be going on our Patreon to determine what game we play for our next Games Club. We have titled this the Metroidvania matchup. It is Hollow Knight Silk Song versus Castlevania Symphony of the Night, a hotly anticipated game versus an iconic genre-defining title. And so if you are a current paid patron at the $1 tier and up, you can go and vote for which game you want us to play for the next quarter to finish out the year. And if you're not and you want to vote, sign up for $1, even just for the month, cast your vote, and we'll end up playing that game and covering it on our Patreon, which will eventually comes out for free for everybody, but it's also an exclusive show. But yeah, so go vote there. I'll plug it at the end of the show too. But I can't wait. Either way, have you played Symphony of the Night? I've actually never dove in, and I love the genre.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's as good as you've heard. It's really fun. It's not very long. It's
okay.
It's great. It's like
I've heard
it has. I played it again a few years ago, and it has a few like it's almost exactly like playing Super Metroid, where you're like, yeah, there's a few like slightly dated elements, but it's otherwise just such a masterpiece it doesn't matter.
Yes. I have it on my PlayStation Vita and did turn it on the other night just for fun before going to sleep, and can immediately see the greatness of it and why it would totally hook me. I was telling you too earlier how I've been playing first-person Metroidvania, Metroid Prime 2, so I feel like I'm just I've been greasing the wheel for more Metroidvania, and it's going to be one of those two games. I'll circle back to you and stop making it about our, promoting our Patreon and my games. But lastly, Jacques, outside of Silk Song, since you're already playing it, is there a game that is on the horizon that you are excited to play? This could be something that's been announced that you haven't had the chance, that has not been released, or something in your backlog.
It's a good question. It's crazy just because Silk Song was the answer for so long. I'm excited to play Death Stranding 2 because I am a full apologist of the first one. I think it was great, and I've heard this one is just better in every way, and so I'm excited to dive into that. I know all of y'all have been digging it, so I'm stoked for that one.
Yeah, I love it. Coincidentally, the current Games Club series that we're doing, and we're about to record the final episode because we have finished it. And Jacques, if you want to, if you haven't bought the game already and you want to borrow it, I've got the disc, so just let me know.
Oh God, this podcast is already paying for itself. Thank you. I will absolutely. That's a game I 100% want to borrow.
Hell yeah. Well, Jacques, thank you for talking to me and answering some questions about your more recent history with video games. We're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll finally get into all things Wave Race 64. So I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game. Connor McCabe returning to the microphone with my guest, Jacques Mouledoux. Jacques, welcome back.
Dude, thank you for having me back.
You're so welcome. Like I was telling you before the podcast, before we dive into your personal history with Wave Race 64, I'm going to do a little table setting for the listener about what this game is and just give them a little more context about it. And if you want to jump in at any point, you got the green light. Otherwise, I'll just monologue.
Sounds good.
Wave Race 64 is a 1996 racing video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. It doesn't say specifically here, but this game, I believe, came out in early November of 1996. It was the third Nintendo first-party game to release on the console. This is something I learned, the second entry in the Wave Race series following the 1992 Game Boy game Wave Race. Did you know about this?
No idea.
This is complete news to me, but it's a top-down racing game on the Game Boy where you are still using jet skis, but it's just a little bit more of a rudimentary version of this. Gameplay involves the player racing on a personal watercraft on a variety of courses while successfully maneuvering the vehicle around various buoys to stay on track. A multiplayer mode where players can compete against each other on a chosen course is also included. The game supports the controller pack, which allows players to transfer save data from one cartridge to another. And the game did allow for a 14:9 aspect ratio, which is not always the case with N64 games. Most of them are 4:3. In the game, you could play as one of four racers: Dave Mariner, Ayumi Stewart, Miles Jeter, and Ryota Hayami, and could compete in a championship, time trial, and stunt mode as far as the first player options went. This game also released a re-release in Japan the next year, 1997, to take advantage of the N64 Rumble Pack peripheral, which must have been confusing for people buying the game. I bet they would have had a big Rumble Pack like stamp on the cover, in case that's what you were looking for. Lastly, Jacques, Wave Race 64 received acclaim from critics who praised the game's satisfying controls and dynamic, watery environments. The game is credited with helping Nintendo effectively make its paradigmatic leap from the 16-bit 2D graphics of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System to the N64's 3D capabilities. It was re-released for the Wii and Wii U's Virtual Console in 2007 and 2016, respectively, and was followed up by Wave Race Blue Storm for the GameCube in 2001. And lastly, this is a somewhat recent release on the Nintendo Switch Online N64 Classics collection, which came out in 2022. Um, that's all the information, the basic contextual information I'm prepared to share about it. Is there anything else you wanted to drop in before we talk about your time?
Let's get to the bits.
Let's get to it, baby. Jacques, I want to start with asking the question how you discovered this game, if you can remember that far back. Was it something you were excited about? Did it just show up?
I remember I associate N64, and I talked about this. It's interesting that it's my last game was Super Mario 64, then this one, which came out just a few months later that same year. I remember playing this at my friend Duncan's house, who had an N64.
Duncan.
We were a PlayStation family, and but I remember playing it and really liking it. And then a couple of years later, we eventually got an N64, and I remember we got a used copy of this.
Mmm.
I remember like this is very my older brother being like talking to my parents and being like, okay, so we get one game for a birthday or Christmas, but if we get used games, it's actually the same price. So can we get two used games instead of one new game? Like I just like distinctly remember this sort of like thought
Just
process, and I remember some
negotiating.
and my mom just being like, just tell me the names. I know you
Yeah.
know.
What will get you to stop uh, trying to weasel your way into more games? I'll just go do it.
Yeah, and so I remember we got a used copy of this later because we had an N64. When we got an N64, we didn't have either Super Mario 64 or Mario Kart. It was
Interesting.
like weird. It was a weird because we played those extensively elsewhere.
Yes.
I think we eventually did get Mario 64, but my memories of that game are playing it at a friend's house and then later playing it on emulation in college. So like early N64 emulation. But Wave Race, I remember really liking playing it, and then my main association with it though is a few years later in year 2000 when I really dove into the game. And
Awesome.
is this a time to just explain how I really got into the game, or
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and I'll ask questions here and there, but absolutely. Yeah, what brought you back to it?
okay? So my friends in high school and I were little dirtbag scammers, uh, like musicians, and wanting to get things for free. We were all into like light kleptomania. Um, and this was the start of Amazon.com. It was basically right when it was becoming popular. It was expanding beyond
Yes.
bookstore, and it had done that for a year or so and was big, but it was still promoting itself, famously losing tons of money and getting investors, all that sort of thing. And my friend Chris and I, who's like my bandmate and friend in high school, we were big members of this, and our friend Ryan actually, who's coming in town this weekend to see Oasis.
Ooh.
We were big into this forum called DVDtalk.com that was about movies and collecting DVDs. And it was just basically how we learned about movies because we were at this age, which was ninth grade for me, like 15 years old or so. We were becoming little aficionados where like printing out the IMDb top 250, wanting to see every movie. Anyway, Amazon is new and they're doing tons of promotions to take over the world. They're just expanding everywhere. One of the things they did was there's a site called visitalk.com that was a like headset making company, and they had a deal where if you recommended four friends and they all signed up for visittalk.com, you would get a $10 Amazon gift card. So basically, this was the last weekend before our like finals our sophomore year of high
Yeah.
school. I think yeah, sophomore year of high school, and we were like, wait, so should we just register like 200 accounts and get Amazon gift cards? And so our little group of friends were all like, let's try it. And you're like, I don't know if this will work. I don't know if this will work. So I proceeded to refer and then register. I can do the math. Uh, 59 times 4, 236 accounts on this website, visitalk.com. We do this. Nothing happens for a few days. And then I distinctly remember this is when cell phones existed, but they were just uh like texting had just started.
Mm-hmm.
And I distinctly remember getting a text being like, Visitalk happened, and being like, what? And I remember like going home to my computer, opening up my various email addresses I'd use, and it's like, you've received a $10 Amazon.com gift card. And I had 59 of those emails. So I had $590 in Amazon gift cards when I was
Oh
15.
my.
So I ordered a 27-inch Sharp TV, which was like a huge, still pre like flat screen, kind of. It was a huge boxy thing, and I got a DVD player, um, and uh, I'd never had a TV in my room. These things arrive. I have a TV in my room. My parents are just bewildered. I'm like pretty soft on my explanation. I'm like,
Yes.
all I had to do was give them fake email address, give them email addresses, and I got gift cards. I didn't say that I was like fake registering,
Yes,
and
yes.
I went a few steps beyond what I told them, and they were just like, "Cool, so the FBI is just gonna come show up here one day," uh, but otherwise we're like pretty whatever about it. And then so literally it's like during exam week, I like have a TV and DVD player arrive, and it's like the start of the summer, and I
Yes.
like have the best situation of my life where I have a TV in my bedroom, uh DVD player, and
All the
it was
time in
just
the world.
all the time in the world. It's like, yeah, I'm working at a summer camp, but that's not that strenuous. And what I associate is that PS2 had come out already. And but I remember I think we had PlayStation in the living room, but the N64 wasn't like hooked up to anything, or
Uh-huh.
like the N64 was also hooked up to that. So I just moved it to my room, and I was like, this is the summer of N64 in my room.
Dude.
And it's like air conditioned blasting in the New Orleans heat, me playing N64 and watching DVDs. Uh, it was awesome. It's like it was just like the most fun summer, and I just distinctly remember Wave Race being the one that I like. It looked good. It was on my big 27-inch TV. The
Yeah.
water looks great. The game is really fun. I remember just doing all the things like
Thematically
obviously
for the summer too, that feels so appropriate being like a water sports game.
exactly. Yeah, it was so sick. I can't even just stress how it was like I had beaten society. My friend Chris had younger siblings, so they got like $1,300 in Amazon gift cards.
Oh, because they
So
did it too?
they did it too. So I remember they got a PS2. They got a few games, including FIFA, which we played a ton that summer, um, and Time Splitters,
Oh.
and I forget what else they got. A lot of stuff. This also was just like the start of it, and we did a bunch more scams where I got tons of movies and games, and I like it was like there was like a year and a half glory period of
Yes.
like me getting all this, and then they figured out, you know what I mean? They figured out how like people were taking advantage of this.
Yes. Yeah. This, before I'm going to dive into a lot of this with questions, the closest I've ever come to have like doing something like this was it technically wasn't a scam, but I remember if I can remember the website's name, I would say it, but in my freshman year of college, my friends and I discovered this like video website where if you watched like a certain amount of videos completed, you got like points in your account and you could redeem that for actual money. And because I think they just wanted people to interact with their content. And so we would just like, so I would like start a video, not even pay attention to it, go do something else, and then it would like get a point in my account and then go start another one. And I'm talking like 5 minute videos. They were not that long.
Yeah.
So, but I never had a success quite like that. That's incredible.
It was
And I,
so awesome, dude. I can't even stress just like imagine it felt like Blank Check the movie where it's like
yes,
a TV arrives at your house and your parents are just like, "I'm sorry, what?"
yeah,
They don't even
incredible.
really understand what Amazon is, and all of a sudden you have like electronics arriving at the house. Like it
Yes.
was so rad. My brothers loved it. I think it was like my brothers finally saw me as like uh like equal is not even the right word, but they were like, "Oh, he knows crazy stuff we don't." Uh
You had your own thing going on, sort of.
exactly.
That's amazing. When it comes to, you had spoke on it a little bit. When it comes to the game itself, Wave Race 64, what do you, how do you remember interacting with it? Did you kind of binge this game? Was it something you just sort of dipped in and out of that summer? What drew you to it?
Um, what drew me to it? What drew me to it was that we had it. It was like one of a handful of games we owned for the
Yes.
N64. We had Ocarina of Time. We had the gold. We have the gold cartridge.
Oh, wow.
Uh, we have what else did we have? We didn't have Mario or Mario Kart. We had Star Fox 64, which is
Great.
I could have just as easily done that, picked that one. But Wave Race for some reason just really strikes me because I remember it just looking really good. I really do think it has like the best controls maybe ever in a racing game.
Hmm.
It feels so the difficulty level is so dialed in. It's not like terribly hard, but the way it's like, oh, it's easy to do this, and then they throw waves at you, which you can't then control for a second. I like I just think they really nailed the like physics. Like
Yes.
I don't like it's just so fun to control it and like it's tricky but feels fair. It's just I mean, there's so many parts of the game. I mean, is this the time for me to rant out the things I love? I don't know.
Yes,
Like
please, by all means.
the music, I think is amazing. It's like
It's
I
so
wonder.
good.
It's so good. It's like so joyful. I feel like I'm super into Japanese music from the like 70s and 80s in particular, and I feel like this game like leaned into those influences, and it has this like joyful city pop like quality that's just like so awesome and cool, and it's like like 80s like
Yes.
fun beach energy meets these like cool synth sounds, and just even the sound effects are all chimey and joyful.
Coming
uh
from the
yeah.
N64's particular um like sound library too, there's something about it with that genre that as I was preparing for the episode watching some gameplay that like brought me back to the rare moments I even had with it. So I can only imagine what it would do for you.
It's so like triggering in the best way of like this youthful like joyful the feeling of summer, which is
Hmm.
like one of the best feelings of all time. Just like freedom, like I'm just like picturing like New Orleans like AC blasting in a room, playing Wave Race, lying on the floor with a pillow behind me, like at the foot of my TV that I'm like it's so big.
Yes.
uh it's just like it's pre me like drinking or smoking weed, so it's like relatively innocent, but I'm still 15, so I'm like think I'm smarter than the rest of the world. I just got this TV, so it's like maybe I am smarter. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like was like the best feeling. I like
Yeah.
my eighth grade was really rough in New Orleans. You go to high school in eighth grade, which is a
Mm.
weird thing. So you're so much younger. I kind of fell off with my friends from grammar school, and I just remember that summer after eighth grade being like terrible because I didn't really have friends. My parents have and had a extremely like thriving social life and would just be going out constantly that summer, and I'm just like, well, I have nothing to do. No, have
Aw.
fun, you guys. Like staying in and like just watching, that 70s show or whatever. And then ninth grade, I found my group of friends who became my
Mm.
friends through high school, and it was awesome. And so like that summer was like I was actually going out with people, like hanging out with friends, going to see movies, like friends who are older than me like got a driver's license. So it's this moment of like uh autonomy finally arriving, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm like on the younger side of my grade, but it was like I remember my friend had a driver's license and a car. And it was just like that is such a turning point in a person's life where you're like, oh, we can do what we want and we don't need adults anymore. It
Yeah.
was so awesome. So all of that energy was what I was bringing to me playing Wave Race.
That's amazing. I love that we've been weaving in the context as well, that was surrounding your life when this game hit you in this moment too. And you've sort of described the room already, but to put us there a little more, can you
Yeah.
like scene paint that room for me?
Great. So this is my childhood bedroom. My parents still have this house. I
Do
shared
you
a
stay there
room.
when you go back?
I don't stay in this room.
Okay.
Let me tell you the whole politics and hierarchy of the rooms. So I have three older siblings. My sister had her own room. My parents had their room. My oldest brother Andre, aka Dre, had his bedroom, and then Taylor and I, my next older brother, we shared this bedroom. So we have bunk beds. There's a trundle bed that comes out underneath it.
Oh man.
That rolls out underneath the bottom bunk for a third
Yes.
bed. And however, that was the classic format of it. We have one of those Fisher Price basketball goals that are
Sick.
like, like 4 feet or whatever, plastic basketball goal that we would do like slam dunk contests in. Large built-in bookcases with tons of books. We had tons of books my whole life, like Berenstain Bears, but then also like novels, and closet that's a disaster, basket of toys, and then also just clothes and all this sort of stuff. So it's like the wallpaper is St. Louis Cardinals
Wow.
themed
What?
wallpaper. So my dad and my brothers like the St. Louis cardinals. I like the Oakland Athletics. This is prime like Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, Ricky
You know that I'm
Henderson.
a Cardinals fan. Has this come up?
I think so. I did
Yeah,
know
but
that.
as you were saying, I'm sorry.
This is just a complete tangent, but
Yes.
we were gonna get wallpaper in the room when we were little, and my brothers are like, or Taylor is like, I want St. Louis Cardinals, and I'm like, I want Oakland Athletics. And I remember going and my mom just seeing the different color schemes
Uh-huh.
between the St. Louis Cardinals, which is red, white, and blue, pleasant colors, friendly, and then looking at Oakland Athletics, which is like green and like a disgusting golden orangey kind of color, yellowy a gold color, and her just being like, we're doing Cardinals. Being like, oh, that's not fair. But then like getting older, being like, yeah, good call. The Oakland Athletics colors are disgusting,
Yeah,
and the Cardinals are classic.
that's
So anyway,
so
that's
funny.
that's the room. Okay, but here's the twist that happened this summer is
Yes.
that we had an extra couch in this like spare room. And so my brothers and I moved that couch into the bedroom because we were like, this is the summer where this room is now a hangout spot.
Cool.
And so that was an addition that stayed forever. Now the room is like basically the playroom for my nieces and nephews. So still the
Hmm.
bunk beds and all that stuff. Maybe still the couch, but it's like now just like a collection of all the toys for all the nieces and
I
nephews.
see. Gotcha. It's had generations of change in that room.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that we're there too, we've gotten a lot of great detail on what you were doing that summer as far as like just more in more of a general sense. Do any memories come to mind that are specific, whether it be a day you were actually playing that game or just some day that summer that had like a memorable event?
Interesting. I don't, it's hard for me to think of a specific day. What I can just picture myself is the lying on the floor with a couch pillow behind my head. I remember like waking up in the morning early in that summer and just immediately turning N64 on in the room and being like, this is the dream. This is
Yes.
like as good as it gets. I don't know if it was like a Saturday. Like I said, I was a camp counselor, so I did have like the Monday, the the like probably 10 to 2 or something that was like comically easy job. But it was, I don't have a, I'm trying to think of a specific memories of that summer. Not really. I
Sure.
mean, like I said, I remember just going to see movies. I remember my friend getting in a car accident going to see the movie Blow.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, I'd say that's the
Cool.
situation.
No, sometimes it's hard to think of specific memories, but we've gotten so much great like vibes in general, a general sense of what you were up to. This is sort of tangential. Were you a water sports person at all? Or so was this game kind of out of nowhere as far as like the context of the I guess the game itself?
I literally didn't think about this, but yes. So
Okay.
my parents had these friends who lived in Bay St. Louis, which is like a beach town, like an hour and a half away from New Orleans. Um, Kind of like it's closest thing to like a Florida beach, not quite
Yeah.
as pretty, but like to New Orleans, so like an hour and a half away. They had a house there, and which was really nice, and I loved going
Mm.
there. It was like my parents' probably richest friends,
Cardinals
and
wallpaper everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, Jacques, we heard you liked athletics, so you have your own room at this game. No. Um, but they had Sea-Doos. They had, or a Sea-Doo. It'd be crazy if they had two. But they had, which is effectively a jet ski, but you sit on it. I've never actually ridden a proper jet ski, which is the name of the brand, and those are the ones where you stand up at it.
Oh, okay.
Uh, this was a Sea-Doo where you sit, which I was always like, that's way chiller. Uh, but I remember riding Sea-Doos there, and it being similarly the most fun thing ever. Like you do it, and just immediately you're like 14, and you're like, why are like I look back and I'm like, they shouldn't have allowed me to do this,
Yeah.
but they did because parenting was crazy, and it was so awesome. I was never good at like water skiing or anything like that. I liked riding on like the tube behind the boat.
Same.
I just to be clear, this was like a thing we would do like once a year. I
Okay.
wasn't like out on the water all the time. Um, Even growing up in New Orleans is interesting because I grew up like 8 blocks from the Mississippi River, but other than hearing like foghorns, you just wouldn't know because it's New Orleans does a really bad job with its like riverfront where
Uh-huh.
it's just shipping stuff. So like there's just high walls and you don't even see it. And then, but so I wouldn't say I was like a crazy water sports person, but I have really fond memories going to our parents' friends, the Cranes, and riding Sea-Doos, hanging out in the pool, all that sort of like classic summer fun stuff.
That's great. I wonder if it would have been like too much or if there would have been like a really like a good sort of oversaturation of like Wave Race 64 and those I guess the like one visit you'd have a summer over there for all that. But no, I was just kind of curious. I didn't grow up being a water sports person. The most I ever did was like going on like a youth group trip once a summer to like a reservoir and riding on someone's boat. And most, if I had my way, I'd be in the tube, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Sad fact, Hurricane Katrina knocked out Bay St. Louis. It's like
Oh
a
my,
like house gone, houses gone, beachfront gone. Like it's like
awful.
a just like a truly like a the town's over
Yeah,
situation.
dang,
Yeah.
that's awful.
That's a fun note for the podcast.
It really is. And we'll go ahead and end there. I kid. One question I wanted to ask you too, I've got before we actually wrap this main segment up, is are there any other details, whether it be something specific about Wave Race 64 or the time in your life that you wanted to share?
I think it's worth talking about the game a little bit more, which is like
Cool.
it's a really good racing game.
Hmm.
It's just like genuinely really good. The controls are good, the track design is good. There's only 8 tracks, and that's like requiring you to get to the advanced difficulty.
Yes.
But they're really good and memorable and just feel distinct from each other. Obviously, I mean, it'd be crazy if they were super repetitive with only 8
Hmm.
of them. But like, there's like a foggy level. There's one that's like more set in like a kind of an aquarium setting. It's really cool. One thing I was also going to say is it uses voiceover a lot,
Yeah.
and it's a funny thing because it's so repetitive. It's clearly like the beginning of voiceover in console games. Maybe that's not fair, but he just goes, "Okay," so often in the game when you
Hmm.
like he says something every time you go around one
It's
of the
like the
buoys that you
announcer.
have to navigate between. Yeah, the announcer. So he'll be like, "Maximum power." It's like, "You're in first." But then he also just goes like, "Okay, nice." But there'll be times where you're moving between buoys and you just hear, "Okay, okay, okay." And you're like, for a
Like,
game that has this Nintendo quality control, it
yeah,
seems like
where's
this
this coming
one,
from?
where's this coming from? Like, randomize this a little bit better.
Hmm.
Uh, but even still, it doesn't actually bother me. It's just like funny where you're like, when I was playing it these last few days to get ready for this, I was like, those specific voices and the music were so nostalgic feeling.
Yes, there's this era in particular, and for me, it ends up being a lot of Nintendo 64 games. There's so many iconic voice lines that me and
Yes,
like my best friend Eddie and I also grew up playing Star Fox 64. I think that might be the greatest one all time for just little
absolutely.
quips here and there.
Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me. Uh, there's
That's a
like
good Slippy.
200. Thank you. There's like 200 memorable lines in Star Fox 64.
Yeah, it
Uh,
never ends.
it's also
Um,
like that's a good example of like bad acting, like probably being better. Like it's like that it helps that game, the melodrama, the fact
yeah,
that they like did they actually like get actors to do it, or they just like asked random members of the team to do the characters.
great question.
You know what I mean? It's like no one's
Yes.
good and yet it's all good.
Yes, absolutely. I love that one. That was sorry to get us a little off track. You were talking about playing this game the last few days. Did you have any big takeaways or surprises on revisiting it?
I wouldn't say there were any surprises because I've actually just come back to this game every few years
Oh, cool.
throughout my whole life. Even when I got the Steam Deck a few years ago, I like put it on emulation and then I just ran through the three difficulties. The difficulties add a new course each time when you move up, so it's fun.
Okay.
And then they add mirror mode, which is a thing I've never once been interested in my whole life. Um, there's a whole mode where if you do the stunts properly, you can ride on a dolphin.
Oh,
Uh, which I didn't do this time around, but I did a few years back. Um, okay, here's a little tip for listeners if they're gonna play it again. There's one of the three options for custom control. You can switch between light and heavy. I forget what it is. It's like handling maybe,
oh, okay.
and set it to heavy. It controls so much better. It just like is
Okay.
more. It's almost like an increased sensitivity. It makes it a little bit more sensitive, so you can kind of just like tap the stick to go left and right. And for a game where you're like kind of weaving in and out slalom style between um the buoys, it's really that's a wave race hack.
Okay. Thank you for the hack.
Yeah.
Uh, well, to wrap this segment up, your main, memory dive that we've done on Wave Race 64, can you sort of put a bow on whatever place that game held for you back then?
Yeah, this game felt like freedom. It felt like the freedom that happens when you're 15 years old, your friends have cars, you have a TV in your room, you're more out of your parents' eyes. You're joyful, you're like the world of possibilities. You feel really smart and talented. You're like you just feel so good, and this game is there that it feels open and exciting, and you're on the sea, and it's fast and it's fun and in control, and it just feels so right. And it was just like this coming together of all those elements just like is such a joyful memory in my life.
Amazing. And the FBI never knocked down your door, did they?
Nope, never did.
How did that end, by the way? Did it just stop working? The what was it called? The website again?
Visitalk. It was
Visitalk?
uh it was just a weekend that you could do it. And it's
I
one of those things
see.
where I could have gotten more, but you just kind of feel like it's not gonna work. And it took a lot of time because I had to go register 200. I had to create 240 email addresses. Which the trick I figured out with that, and also these email addresses were just like Jacques Mouledoux 1, Jacques Mouledoux 2, Jacques Mouledoux 3, Jacques Mouledoux 4. It wasn't like clever. But the thing I'd figured out was there used to be this site called email.com. Maybe it still exists. And what I figured out with them was to register an email address, you could type in all the information and hit next, and it would be like email address created. But you could hit back, and it would all still be there, all the information. And I would just add a new number to the name I wanted, and then hit forward, and then back, change the number, forward, back, forward. So I was making an email address every like 10 seconds.
Holy
Uh,
shit.
yeah. I literally could have gotten $1,000 more, but we just didn't think it would work. So I
Truly.
can't. The one thing maybe I'll leave on this note is imagine you don't you're 15, you're a sophomore in high school, you don't have money, you can't really you're not working during the school year, and it's about to be summer, and then one day you get emails saying, here's your $10 Amazon gift certificate, and you have 59 of those
Yeah.
emails. And you're just all of a sudden have almost $600, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you just don't think it's actually going to work out because nothing like that's ever happened. And then you
Yes.
get that. Like, it was the best feeling
It
ever.
was something that should have been too good to be true, but it was true.
It was true.
Well, Jacques, thank you for bringing not only Wave Race 64 on to discuss it, but this just like smattering of memories from this time. That was so much fun to hear from you.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
You bet. To close things out, I'm going to lead us into our two post-show segments. The first of which is the Fact Me by Your Game segment, where I'm just going to share one fun fact that I discovered about this game with you, Jacques. This fun fact comes from a YouTube video called Wave Race 64, the game that revolutionized water, by a YouTube channel called Joni. That's Jonii. I'll have a link to the show notes in the show notes to this video for anyone who wants to watch it. But I have this fact, Jacques, titled Save a Boat, Ride a Jet Ski. And did you know that Wave Race 64 actually began life not as a jet ski racer, but as a boat-based racing game?
I did not know that. No.
Despite the original game being a jet ski title, the original version of Wave Race 64 was shown off at the Nintendo Shoshinkai 95 show, which I think was just a showcase for software, as a game about racing motorboats. In fact, in this video from the YouTube user Joni, there is about 15 seconds of this preliminary footage of what it looked like. It was a game that took place in Venice, Italy, and according to developer Chris Seaver, who is known for Conker's Bad Fur Day, he claimed in an interview that Wave Race 64 was originally about racing boats until Rare co-founder Chris Stamper suggested the switch to jet skis. This all being the case, despite, like I already said, the original game being a jet ski. So they were going to move from one vehicle to another. But yeah, this is something I had no idea about.
That's interesting. Do you know anything about the like sponsorship element of it? The way it's like it's released with Kawasaki, like they're on the menu screen.
I
Uh,
don't know anything about the
you can
sponsorship element.
lie. You can lie for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it was a backdoor deal that Nintendo didn't want us to know about. That's my lie.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That sounds good. Yeah. That's what I figured too.
Phew. Um, that's it. I just had the one fun fact today, and I'll lead us into the final segment, the game recommendations. And you might remember, Jacques, that this is my one forced tie-in to the movie Call Me by Your Name, where I'm gonna treat Wave Race 64.
You're gonna fuck a peach.
Yep, that's what I'm doing on the pod. So, viewers, you're getting your money's worth today. Uh, this I'm treating Wave Race 64 as your passionate summer fling that you had in Italy, but it's not going to work out. So, in order to help you get over the heartbreak, I've got three potential new flings to introduce you to that all have a little something in common with the game you brought on.
Can I ask a question? Are
Of
any of
course.
these, do they have like a cannibalist element? Like if my summer fling was with a person who was later revealed to be like a cannibal?
I've actually got a whole separate series of recommendations if that's the way you want to go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Huge. Don't
Perfect.
worry, I'll share those with you off pod. Um,
Perfect.
more importantly, before I, throw out these potential flings for you, Jacques, I need to know, are you ready to get back out there?
I'm ready.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear. If you like a racing game, but you want to ditch the water for snow, I'll recommend Cool Borders 2. Did you ever get into this snowboarding game?
I think I played it a little bit when I was younger and liked it, but I never like dove in.
It's available on, N64, the original PlayStation. It's more of a racing focused game than like SSX Tricky, which is way more trick focused, I would say, despite having racing elements. But yeah, if you're feeling more like snow than water, that's your first recommendation. If, you know, instead of having a game that was made from a 2D Game Boy title into a 3D get fully fledged game, you want to actually play the demake, a 2D title version of an existing 3D game, I'll recommend Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel, the Game Boy Color Metal Gear Solid game. Did you ever play this one?
No.
It's actually a completely original game despite just being titled Metal Gear Solid in the United States. But yeah, it's kind of an amazing look at a top-down 2D Metal Gear, even though the original's technically top-down as well.
Is that one supposed to be good?
It's apparently fantastic.
Cool.
Not directed by Kojima.
We had Metal Gear on NES
Whoa!
before growing up, before Metal Gear Solid came out.
Oh
We
my. It probably functions very similar to this Game Boy game. Lastly, is if your takeaway from Wave Race 64, Jacques, is that there just weren't enough stunts. You want a stunt focused game, then I'll recommend
Uh-huh.
a game I loved to death on the computer growing up. Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver. I assume you never touched this one.
I have not.
It is another racing game where you're going off ramps, you're doing flips, you're doing spins, and at least when I was 8 years old at my friend's house, this game rocked.
Cool. Thank you.
You're
I love
welcome.
getting a recommendation that's like, I hope this is as fun as it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, nostalgia might be completely coding this perspective. I'll recap your three recommendations today. We have Cool Borders 2, Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel, and Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver. That'll do it for the segment, and that'll bring us to the end of the show. So before we plug whatever we want and get out of here, once again, Jacques, thank you for taking the time to do this. This was awesome hearing about this time and place in your life with Wave Race 64.
Thanks. It was so fun to talk about.
You bet. Well, on your way out, pal, should people find you anywhere on the internet? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm on social media stuff at Jacques Monster. And I want to plug, going back to the beginning, Connor Knight's game, Send and the Clown, which we're both so excited to share. It's just a delightful little hour-long comedy RPG, or hopefully you find it delightful. But it's just a short comedy RPG. You level up, you get abilities, things get crazy, even when you think it's just a normal little dialogue-based game. And I'm really, really excited for people to play it.
Same here. Well, I'll put a link to the game's website. I'll put a link to your social media handles as well, and that also includes everything that I'm about to plug to close out the show, including the artist who does the cover art for Call Me by Your Game, Glenn J. You can find his Instagram in the show notes as well. This show is produced, edited, and the original music that you hear throughout is done by Jeremy Schmidt. If you'd like to thank him for his hard work on this podcast, you can check out his podcast, Video Games, a Comedy Show, wherever you get your series. I felt like I said podcast too many times, so I just totally went and pivoted there. You can find me all over social media at Connor McCabe. You can also find the show at Call Me by Your Game on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the YouTube, which we have full video versions of every episode that we do here on the podcast. And lastly, check us out at patreon.com/supernpcradio. If you're a listener of the show and you want to find another way to support us outside of just sharing the podcast, that is probably the most helpful way you can do it. By supporting us there at any of the paid tiers, you get certain bonuses, including at the $1 tier, you get your voting rights back, because they're going away in this country apparently. But you get the chance to vote in our Games Club series elections, and that is something that's going on right now if you're listening. You have 2 days to vote in our Metroidvania matchup series when you can help us pick between either Hollow Knight Silksong or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We'll play one of those games in a chapter-by-chapter book club series. So if you want to make your voice heard, go there, support us, and do that. You can also check out our stuff in the free feed at the Super NPC Games Club. Jacques, you look like you're teeing up to say something. Or are you just getting near the
Elections
mic?
are so important. Elections are so important. Your voice needs to be heard. Vote now.
Vote now, and if you're in line, stay in line.
Stay in line.
But that'll do it for another episode of Call Me by Your Game. We will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.